In Europe, many cities were built centuries ago, when walking was the main way people got around, and that legacy still shapes how people live today. Narrow streets, compact neighborhoods, and central markets were designed for foot traffic long before cars existed, and that urban design remains deeply embedded in places like Paris, Amsterdam, Florence, and Edinburgh. In these cities, you can walk from your apartment to the grocery store, a bakery, a train station, a public square, or even your workplace in just a few minutes. Sidewalks are wide, streets are often closed to cars, and public plazas invite people to gather and socialize. These spaces are alive with activity. Outdoor cafes spill onto cobblestone walkways, street musicians perform in open-air squares, and children play within sight of their homes. The built environment encouraged people to be part of their cities, not just pass through them. In contrast, most American cities were developed after the rise of the automobile, and as a result, they were built around the needs of cars, not people. Streets are wider, blocks are longer, and destinations are more spread out. Zoning laws separate residential areas from commercial and business districts, forcing people to drive even for basic errands. Suburbs dominate the landscape, and walking is rarely a practical or safe option. In many neighborhoods, sidewalks are narrow or non-existent, crosswalks are placed far apart, and distances between home and shops are simply too long to walk. This separation makes daily life feel more disconnected. People drive from their home to the store, then to work, then back home again, often without interacting with anyone outside their immediate circle. Over time, this leads to a sense of isolation and individualism that is structurally reinforced by the way American cities are designed. Cars are not a convenience, they're a necessity. And for people who cannot drive, including the elderly or those with disabilities, this reliance on cars creates real barriers to independence. Public transportation in the United States is also limited. Outside of a few cities like New York, Chicago, or Boston, buses and trains are infrequent, underfunded, and inconvenient. Many areas don't even offer public transit options, leaving people with no choice but to own a car. This not only increases financial strain, but also contributes to traffic congestion, pollution, and frustration. In Europe and the UK, public transportation is far more integrated into everyday life. Trains, buses, and trams are frequent, affordable, and easy to use. Most cities and towns are connected by regional rail lines and local bus routes that make it simple to get around without owning a car. In places like London, you can hop on a double-decker bus, catch the underground, or walk to your destination without ever needing to drive. Even smaller towns are linked to cities by trains and buses, making car ownership optional rather than essential. Public transport is designed with convenience in mind. Timetables are reliable, ticketing is seamless, and hubs are built around pedestrian access. This system supports daily routines like commuting to work, going to school, or visiting friends. It also fosters casual interaction, whether that's talking to the person next to you on the bus or recognizing the same fellow passengers each morning. The infrastructure encourages shared experience. In the US, people often feel cut off from their surroundings, experiencing cities from inside a vehicle. In Europe, people move through cities on foot or by transit, constantly engaging with the space and those in it. This creates a stronger connection to place and community. Social bonds are strengthened when people walk through the same streets every day, greet familiar faces, and participate in public life. In many European neighborhoods, you'll see children walking home from school together, seniors sitting on benches chatting, or friends strolling after dinner. The walkability of a city makes these kinds of moments possible. In the US, these experiences are far less common because the infrastructure doesn't support them. Large parking lots separate buildings, cul-de-sacs limit foot traffic, and high-speed roads discourage walking. Even where sidewalks exist, the environment often feels uninviting or unsafe for pedestrians. As a result, walking becomes an activity reserved for exercise, not a natural part of everyday life. This physical separation mirrors emotional distance. People in car-centric areas are less likely to know their neighbors or feel attached to their communities. In Europe, density and walkability create vibrant public life where people naturally interact, share space, and feel part of something bigger. These environments promote health too. Walking more and driving less leads to better physical fitness, reduced air pollution, and lower rates of obesity and heart disease. Public transportation adds to this by encouraging more movement and reducing stress from driving. European countries also tend to design their cities with sustainability in mind. Many are working to reduce car traffic, increase green spaces, and expand pedestrian zones. Paris has removed cars from many areas of the city and replaced them with bike lanes, gardens, and outdoor seating. Copenhagen is famous for its commitment to bicycles and pedestrian-friendly design, with more than half of residents biking to work each day. These cities prove that when walking is prioritized, people adapt and thrive. Meanwhile, the US continues to invest heavily in roads, highways, and parking structures while underfunding sidewalks, crosswalks, and transit. The message is clear. Cities are for cars, not people. This approach contributes to a host of problems, from environmental degradation to social isolation. It also limits freedom. Without a car, many Americans simply cannot participate fully in society. Jobs, schools, healthcare, and recreation become out of reach. In contrast, European and UK cities offer freedom through mobility. People of all ages can navigate their cities with confidence, whether by bus, train, bike, or on foot. This autonomy fosters inclusion, especially for the elderly and disabled individuals. Children can walk or bike to school. Seniors can take a bus to the market. Teenagers can meet friends downtown without needing a ride. These freedoms build trust and independence at every stage of life. The benefits are felt economically too. Walkable neighborhoods support local businesses by creating steady foot traffic. People who walk are more likely to stop at shops, cafes, and markets. In America, large stores often sit behind vast parking lots, accessible only by car, which discourages spontaneous shopping and limits small business viability. The contrast is stark. In Europe, corner bakeries, tiny bookstores, and local florists thrive because people walk past them every day. The vibrancy of street life is both a cultural and economic asset. Americans often romanticize European cities for their charm, but that charm is not accidental. It's the result of deliberate planning that centers people over vehicles. It's about human scale, mixed-use development, and public investment in infrastructure that supports walking, biking, and transit. The cultural difference is visible in how streets are used. In the US, streets are conduits for traffic. In Europe, streets are places to live, gather, and connect. Public squares, promenades, and pedestrian zones are treated as living rooms for the city, filled with laughter, conversation, and music. Reclaiming that spirit in American cities requires a shift in priorities. It means investing in sidewalks, expanding transit, reforming zoning laws, and designing streets for people, not just cars. Some US cities are beginning to move in this direction. Places like Portland, Minneapolis, and Seattle have expanded bike lanes, improved public transit, and built mixed-use developments that encourage walking. But these efforts are still limited compared to the systemic walkability found in much of Europe and the UK. What's needed is not just infrastructure, but a cultural change, one that values connection over convenience, presence over speed, and shared experience over private isolation. Americans often report feeling disconnected, lonely, and rushed. The way cities are built contributes to that. In contrast, walkable environments foster community, mental well-being, and a slower, more grounded pace of life. There is something deeply human about walking through your neighborhood, seeing familiar faces, and being part of a place. In cities where that's possible, people feel less alone and more engaged with the world around them. If American cities embrace walkability, they can unlock those same feelings. They can become places where people live, not just places people pass through. The lessons from Europe and the UK are clear. Build cities for people, and people will fill them with life. Like, comment, and subscribe for daily history and culture content.